you must be a volunteer, always. What being a volunteer means is, to volunteer means you're doing your life willingly. That's all it means. Right now if you say, I'm a volunteer, what it means is, I am doing whatever I am doing willingly. Yes? So this is all the choice you have. You can either do your life willingly or unwillingly. If you do it willingly, it becomes a love affair. If you do it unwillingly, it becomes a rape. If you do it willingly, it becomes your heaven. If you do it unwillingly, it'll become your hell. Yes? That's all the difference, isn't it? Anything that you're doing in your life, if you're doing it willingly, it's a beautiful thing. If it's happening to you unwillingly, it's a horrible thing, isn't it so? So being a volunteer does not mean washing dishes, does not mean cutting vegetables, does not mean this or that. Learning to become willing in all kinds of situations. That you do every moment of your life willingly, not unwillingly. Because the moment unwillingness comes, even if the most beautiful thing is happening to you, it feels like you're being buggered by life. Yes or no? Unwilling, you're unwilling, but we'll push you into heaven, you'll suffer. How do you know you're not already in heaven? Is there any proof? Is there any proof in your hands that this is not heaven? Then, because you're unwilling, even the heaven is ugly. If you're willing, it's very beautiful. And only if you are willing, you become available to grace, otherwise you have to plod every step. So volunteering means it's a ladder to heaven. Ladder is hard to climb. It's a down slope to heaven. Because it looks like you're going down, but actually life becomes better and better and better in your experience. The more willing you become, whatever you're doing becomes wonderful. So if you are not a volunteer, either you will be suffering life or you will be living in the fear of suffering coming to you. Here and there you will have joy, but constantly with the fear of suffering attached. You will see people who have developed very strong likes and dislikes. Generally, for most people this will happen as they become more successful. They think they have to have strong likes and dislikes about everything, otherwise they have no personality, you know. If you don't have a very strong sense of like and dislike, people will think you have no personality. You will have a personality, but you will have no presence. You will be empty. If you become a volunteer, you will have no personality. You will not have the torture of carrying a personality with you, but you will have a wonderful presence always. So volunteering is not a way of extracting work from you. If you have to not be like a ducktail which stays in water, never gets wet. If you should not be like a spoon in a soup, it stays in the soup all the time and never gets to taste it, then the only way is to be a true volunteer. The question is not about the volume of what you do, the willingness with which you breathe and walk and live, that makes you a volunteer. Essentially, volunteering
means to become willing. Or in other words, to become an absolute yes to life. Most human beings are yes if it's convenient, no when it's not convenient. Yes if it's yielding something, no if it's not yielding something for them. A volunteer means there's only one thing that he's dropped, which is a very significant thing. He's just dropped this one calculation, what can I get? If a human being drops this one calculation, what can I get out of this? If he drops that, suddenly he becomes a phenomenon. This is something that I'm constantly demonstrating to people, what our volunteers can do. This is a small program for us. If you see our major events, like for example, Mahashivratri is coming, over 1 million people will be there through the night from evening 6 to morning 6. Or if you look at the Project Green Hands or the rural rejuvenation programs, and just about anything that's been done here. For example, the Dhyanalinga dome, just to tell you what goes into it, the dome is made in such a way, there is no cement, there is no steel, there's no concrete. The simple technology is, all the bricks are trying to fall down at the same time, so they cannot. It's like everybody's trying to get out of the door and they cannot. Unless one person has the courtesy to move back, then they will go. But the bricks don't have courtesy. So they all keep on trying to come down and they cannot come down. So for this to happen, it took 1.8 lakh bricks to build that. This 180,000 bricks, every one of them was measured to the millimeter by the volunteers. If somebody is little lax, somebody puts a brick which is 2 millimeters less than what it should be, the whole thing may collapse. So I sat down and I spoke to them, see, this is what it means, this is what I'm placing in your hands. You never handled a brick in your life, but you got to measure like this. And men, women, children sat down day and night and they measured and they measured and they measured and they kept these bricks. And now when they keep… it has to be just kept quickly so that it doesn't come down. One circle you have to complete at a time. And today you see that. I'm just saying just one example. Any number of things like this have been done. What is it that fires them? See, there is something beyond passion, there is something beyond motivation, there is something beyond profit, which is very significant for a human being, which generally most human beings never explore. Their whole life remains within certain expectations of profit, some passion towards it, some intensity, but volunteers live an intense life. So through the night people are working, but in the day they are working. When do they sleep? They don't. This is my experience. I'm like this, I'm on at least 22 hours a day, 7 days of the week. Because there's work going on in United States, in every part of the world, which are in different time zones. At 2 o'clock in the morning, if I just pick up my phone, one of the Swamis or somebody picks up the phone, never once will I hear a goggy voice, "What, Sadhguru?" No. Sadhguru? It doesn't matter any time of the day or night. This is the greatest blessing, that you constantly live among people who are intense, focused and willing to give themselves to what needs to happen. This is the greatest pleasure a man can have, this is the greatest fortune a man can have, and fortunately we have it.
You must volunteer, whether it's in a Isha program or wherever. Somewhere you must go, it doesn't matter where you do it, somewhere you must go and do something, not being concerned about the results that it will produce for you, simply doing something. This is extremely important. Right now, your life has become so goal-oriented. When you become goal-oriented, you become dead serious about everything. Shiva says, "Oh sweet-hearted one, play." When you're goal-oriented, you cannot play. You can only wage a war every moment of your life. There's no question of play in your life. Play is only possible when the end result is not too important. The way you're doing things is very important. The end result is not too important, only then you can play. If the end result is so important, then the way you play becomes unimportant, then there is no play, it's finished. Somehow get it, that'll be the policy. So volunteering is very much an essential part of sadhana. Either you volunteer here, or on the street, or at home, or in the office, just volunteering. Something that is not concerned with what you will get in the end, simply doing something. Holding someone else's well-being far above your own well-being. Suddenly your life is powerful. Wherever there are people who hold others' well-being far more important as their own well-being, suddenly that place is very, very powerful. You must live in a powerful place all the time. If you are a 24-hour volunteer wherever you are, you always have a very powerful space around you. That's the reason why Isha Foundation is, even though managing… See, what 10 people can do, 100 volunteers do for us. Managing these 100 volunteers is a huge headache. If I hire 10 professionals, they will do the job better, but still we prefer the volunteers. Because this is not about doing the work, this is about making people. This is not about building buildings, this is not about conducting programs, this is not about doing this project or that project, this is about building people.